Pardon the noise here with the generator going. We have this big old tank up there that we pump up water from the river using solar passively, and every other day we water our food forest here. We have about 1.5 acres in the front. As you can see, this time of year, even though we're watering a lot of stuff, just can't make it. The river locust is gonna make it, but we just planted them as a cutting this year. People like the black walnut and the willows and the mulberry, all right here in this little guild or patch, are doing pretty dang good. While the plants over here, such as you know, the lamb's quarters coming into the season, elephant ear is just not doing it over here. Celosia is going to flower early with very sad leaves. The random tomatillo that we have here, struggling real hard. So we have a lot of plants here that are just not keeping up with it. Rosemary, river locust, the hazelnuts are killing it this year. Right there, they've almost doubled in size this year, I'd say already. We're in middle of June here, south central North Carolina. It's about 95 degrees every day for the past week. We've had no rain in 10 days, not even a drizzle. We got no rain predicted for another 10 days. So 95 and 90% humidity. It's pretty hot. It's very hard to keep an 1.5 acre food forest alive when there's no spring leading to it or anything like that that has constant water and moisture. Areas that are under a lot of canopy seem to be doing a lot better. But if you're under canopy and you don't have any mulch, any hay, any other stuff on here, you're not really going to be doing much. We have some river locust cuttings here that it was so wet earlier in the season. Now they might make it, but this is just looking like a stick in the ground right now. But basically our attack method, or how we combat the dry, is we dig these trenches leading down to the pond over there that we have. Stop focusing on my finger phone. And so we flood irrigate these trenches with the water that again is passively pumped up. We pump up about 600, maybe max 800 gallons of water a day using the solar panels. We have our solar house here with the solar panels on it, facing pretty much due west, I guess. A little bit southwest. South would probably be right there. They're kind of facing right there. The sun travels right over top of those trees underneath the moon's line right there, right at this time of year, and then sets over there. So basically, right now we're using a well pump. I'll show all that in a minute. Hooked up to our generator, and that's pumping out through this pipe that starts over there, goes through the pump, comes down here, and goes all the way to our cows and goats that we have way down there, and pigs, to feed them some water too. So basically, it's a pretty nice stream of water. Our path gets a little wet when you have a toddler playing with this. But I'll try not to go too far over to the generator. We have our walking path here. So we actually have a high point here that if we wanted to, I can dig out a couple shovelfuls right here and they will connect. But basically this is my splitting point. So I'm either watering over here and I'm plopping a little bit of muck here, or I'm plopping muck here and I'm watering over there. And basically I'm just taking the shovel. Every time that I go to power it on, the water comes in and starts flowing. You can see the sandy silt right here, and I'll just come along here, scoop it up, get that nice silt, and I plop it up onto the garden. Again, it's hard to do with one hand. So go along the trench, get some silt, pop it up. Get to a part where you see the water is moving back this way because it's not making it all the way. Stick your shovel in, get you some silt, feed it to the plants. It's doing a lot better. So basically, this trench is the one that gets watered the most in our food forest because it's the highest in elevation. And all the trenches, this one starts over here near the shed, comes down here, and when we want it to, I release some mud over here and it actually will travel up this way along the plantains, which have some fruit that is doing great on it. I'll take a side note to show that real quick. It started flowering a few months ago, and I think it's going to do it this year. They're actually going to get ripe in time, so that's pretty exciting. We've never seen this before. This guy comes out, these petals open up, reveals the pestils, or the pistils, stamens, I don't know. They unfold, hummingbirds and whatnot come in, boom, fertilize them, turn into fruit. So obviously this part is extremely well shaded. This mulberry is fighting these plantains like crazy. He says he's gonna make it to the top this year. This is a 2-year-old mulberry tree. It's as tall as these. I mean, these are good 18 feet, 20 feet tall at the very peak. But basically this trench comes in around the other side of these guys, and right now stops right there. But it does continue on when I take down a few. Goes all the way that way and then back this way. Goes in front of these two big persimmon trees. But we haven't needed water like that in a while. Yeah, the chayote that again is showing real strong struggling signs. And he is just killing it, spreading everywhere. Again, that's a chayote. They get up to like 30 feet long. They are perennial here in South Central North Carolina. Absolutely. So, I'll show you a little bit more. But basically the overall concept is to fill these trenches like miniature swales, so that it'll actually leach the water into these beds, which is the highest elevation. We have a impenetrable 4 or 5 foot deep clay table underneath this whole area right here. There was none at all topsoil when we started here. It was just a giant clay shelf. And so all this water will ride that clay shelf underneath all this. This is the next trench. See how much it fills up with the mulch because we haven't watered in these trenches in probably a week. Maybe 4 or 5 days into this trench specifically. But you can see it's still wet in here. We hand watered a little bit with the hose. That's why you see some water droplets. But yeah, one day soon we'll do a full-on food forest tour if that's something that you guys would be interested in. You can see all the different plants we have. Got beautiful bee balms, cannabulbs, hazelnut. Again, the big mulberry here. More hazel. Some struggling little teeny cannabulbs. We got these rows of field peas that we were trying here. That came from a friend that he inherited a cabin, and they're like 50 or 60-year-old seeds. They've been sitting in a jar with an inch of dust on top of the jar lid. So there are some old field peas grew in here a long time ago. That bee balm going crazy there in the food forest. Beautiful. Bronzy fennel struggling but going to flower. Right there. Another black walnut there. This is the other side of the food forest. This is the back side. We're at a slightly lower elevation. Our property is really flat, so our elevation change is that. Maybe, what, 4 to 6 inches in elevation change? Maybe at the max a foot. Not much elevation change, but our property is so flat and that clay table is so impenetrable that the water just flows downhill. It's enough grade. There's no such thing, no true thing as perfectly flat land unless you're in a salt flat. That's what Jeff Lawton always says. Well, this is our pond. It's full of frogs and life this year. There's a lot of azolla, which is this brown plant that can't. Lots of frogs, lots of frogs. Little baby toads and frogs that are jumping all over the place. All these plants, a lot of people call invasive. They die here in the winter. So we enjoy these plants, holding on to the edge of the bank and keeping that nice and cool and wet. So basically, everything from the food forest here drains this direction at us, under this hill, and into this water, and drains here. All the water flows down our long sandy driveway, straight into here. This whole pond will overflow into the next pond, which is smaller but twice as deep, about half the surface area but twice as deep. We shoved willow cuttings in a lot of places. Probably show more of that in a minute. But they're just starting to take off. The river locust over here is about 3 years old. We've taken cuttings, so many cuttings from it. These are like our mother plants. And then we have our geese over here that they have so much access. Geese and ducks. There's chickens over there that all have access and can come in here, but basically they have access to, 10 acres or so over here, and this is their biggest water hole right here. All the successive ponds, basically, this will fill up, overflow this. It fills up to about the top of that pallet. So that pallet's perfect height. We can actually use it to walk across when this overflows. It fills up with water all the way to here to all the way over there and flows through and fill this whole pond up. And this pond will overflow and fill the next pond up, which is a big depression up here. And then that one overflows and fills the next one up and the next one. And so we're just going to keep developing more spaces here so that we can hold more water in the landscape. Ends up being way more beneficial. Pretty much anywhere the geese poop that they then leave alone, grass grows. So yeah, we really enjoy having the geese go all through the edge of the food forest and the edge of the other forests. This is some type of water lettuce. This is a water hyacinth. They get these crazy long purple roots, which are just so cool. They will choke a pond out though. You gotta be careful if they take over the whole pond. And apparently in Florida they're really invasive. Here's some of the azolla that's still alive on the edge of the bank right here. And the other plant that we have floating around in here is duckweed, which is that green guy right there. Like when the little toads and ants run across the top of the water plants. This water hole is far more developed than it was last year. We dug it about 1.5 years ago, and we put ducks and geese on the pond real hard for a while. Threw a little float in there for the frogs to get on top of. The kids really like to see them. We have to pardon all my junk, but here in a minute I'll show you our pump system. Give you a quick pan. This giant tree, those are chestnuts, hybrid chestnuts, going up this way. Yeah, got part of all our junk, but I'll show you all the water system we have here. I'm no plumber. This is the first thing I've ever plumbed in my entire life, other than small applications or sinks or whatnot. But as far as a full-on plumbing project, this is the most extensive thing that I have ever done, that's for sure. So basically, when we dug this out with the skid steer, we took all the dirt, put it around the pond, dug the pond out, and we got to the really thick, dense, hard clay, which this whole mound is. That's what this whole shelf is that we're standing on right now. And this is about chest height off the ground, the bottom of this tote right here. This tote holds 1,100 gallons. We have a pump that comes up from the river since the sun's down. Oh, look at the tree frog. Hello, tree frog. I want to boop you. He's sleeping. But it comes out, this hose right here is into the water. Water looks pretty nasty right now, but on video, I promise, video makes it look grosser. It's just a little algae in the bottom because we're pumping up from the river. We have an overflow here that's angled up. Again, it's all irrigation water. It goes down here, and it'll actually overflow here down the slope so we don't erode it and fill up the pond. Again, pardon all our junk. We got so much going on here. We got to clean up. So, this is our pump. Basically, we have a valve on it. I guess I can go closer to look at that. Series of connectors to drain it down from a 3-inch size hose all the way down to a I don't even know what size pipe that is. Inch to 1.25 inches maybe. Anyone knows what that means? Maybe it'll answer your question. I can fit my hand around it pretty easily. And basically, this plumbs in, goes downhill, adding pressure, goes into our pump here. We bypass the tank because right now my inverter that it was hooked up to the solar system shit the bucket. So we unplugged the tank part that keeps it pressurized, and we're running it direct into here, out of there. And it's whirring, dude. It gets pretty warm, but not too hot, so we know it's still doing good. Then our pipe comes out here, up there. You know the rest of the story. But sorry for a longer video here. Just kind of wanted to further explain different ways that you might be able to incorporate water systems and watering into your food forest. Don't make the mistake that we did and try to incorporate your trenches or other watering aspects to your food forest after you have already started to plant your food forest. It's best to go ahead and get those applications in early, so to speak. Really plan it out like a blueprint of a house. How is it going to slope through? Possibly come in, if you have access to equipment, rip the ground before you start planting in it, so that especially if you're on a slope, so that the water underground doesn't hit any compacted layers and it has room to keep going through those trenches or swales all the way to your water catchment point. But yeah, thanks for watching. Check out our other videos, and soon we'll do a full food forest walking tour here. Again, we're in South Central North Carolina, edge of Harnett County. I hope you have a good one. See you next time.